Welcome back to our channel World of Coins, the place where we uncover hidden treasures in your coin collection. Have you ever wondered if that old coins could be worth thousands or even millions? Well, today's your lucky day. We're diving into some of the rarest and most valuable US coins that might be sitting right under your nose. Let's jump in and see if you've got a fortune waiting to be discovered. Top 1. Every coin has a story, but some stories are more powerful, more patriotic, and more profitable than others. And among the most iconic pieces of American coinage is the Kennedy half-dollar, a coin that not only commemorates a fallen president but also symbolizes an entire era of hope, ambition, and national pride. Today, we're diving deep into the fascinating world of the 1776 to 1976 Kennedy half-dollar, a special bicentennial edition that has captured the attention of collectors around the world. While millions of these coins were minted for the United States bicentennial celebrations, only a few have become extraordinary treasures. And one of those rare pieces has stunned the numismatic world with a shocking price tag. Now, let's rewind a little. The Kennedy half-dollar was first introduced in 1964, just months after the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy. It quickly became more than just currency, it became a tribute. Americans saved them as keepsakes, and many refused to spend them. Fast forward to 1976, when the U.S. celebrated its 200th anniversary. The Mint marked this historic occasion by releasing special bicentennial designs for the quarter, half-dollar, and dollar. For the Kennedy half-dollar, the reverse design was changed from the presidential seal to an image of Independence Hall in Philadelphia, the birthplace of the United States. The obverse, of course, retained Kennedy's profile, stoic, forward-looking, and dignified. These bicentennial half-dollars were unique in many ways. First, they bore the dual date 1776 to 1976 instead of a single year, setting them apart from all other modern coins. They were also released in both regular circulation strikes and special collector's versions in 40% silver, making them instantly appealing to collectors. But not every 1776 to 1976 Kennedy half-dollar is valuable. In fact, most are still worth face value or a bit more if they're in decent condition. What transforms one of these coins into a six-figure treasure is a rare blend of exceptional condition, minting anomalies, and historical significance. Imagine holding a coin that was struck with perfect precision, preserved in flawless condition for nearly half a century, and perhaps even bearing a rare mint error, such as a double die strike, a misaligned planchet, or a silver-clad variety minted at the wrong facility. Such coins are few and far between. And when one surfaces, especially in pristine mint state or proof condition with grading from a trusted authority like PCGS or NGC, collectors go wild. These coins are the holy grails, the once-in-a-lifetime finds that elevate coin collecting from a hobby to a passionate pursuit of history and legacy. Let's not forget the emotional weight this coin carries. The Kennedy half-dollar has always been more than just money. It's a symbol of a young president whose life was cut short, a national tragedy that left a permanent mark on American consciousness. Pair that emotional connection with the grandeur of the bicentennial celebration, and you've got a coin that resonates deeply with generations of Americans. When one of these historic coins turns out to be a rare variety, preserved perfectly against all odds, it becomes more than a collector's item, it becomes a piece of art, a relic, and an investment all at once. In recent years, the surge in interest in rare U.S. coins has caused prices to skyrocket, especially for coins tied to major national events or famous figures. The bicentennial Kennedy half-dollar fits both categories. One exceptional example, a rare collector-grade 1776 to 1976 Kennedy half-dollar with outstanding condition and unique features, stunned the collecting community when it sold for an incredible $145,000. Top 2. In the world of American coinage, few coins carry as much emotional and historical weight as the Kennedy half-dollar. Born from tragedy yet celebrated as a tribute, the Kennedy half-dollar is more than just a piece of currency, it is a lasting symbol of one of the most pivotal moments in 20th century American history. Today, we're shining a spotlight on a specific and often overlooked edition of this legendary coin, the 1973 Kennedy half-dollar. It might seem like just another year at first glance, but for numismatists and serious collectors, this coin holds secrets, surprises, and in rare cases, staggering value. The Kennedy half-dollar was first introduced in 1964, a mere few months after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Americans were still in mourning, and the coin became an immediate tribute, a way for the nation to remember and honor a young, charismatic leader who had inspired hope and ambition across the country. The design featured a profile of Kennedy on the obverse, masterfully created by Gilroy Roberts, while the reverse carried the presidential seal, designed by Frank Gasparo. This design was so powerful and poignant that it has remained essentially unchanged for decades. By the time 1973 rolled around, the Kennedy half-dollar was firmly established as part of American pocket change. However, something important happened in that year that would dramatically affect the availability and potential value of these coins. In 1973, Kennedy half-dollars were not released for general circulation. Instead, they were only produced for mint and proof sets, collections that were sold directly to collectors by the U.S. Mint. This decision instantly made the 1973 Kennedy half-dollar less common in everyday use and more sought after in pristine condition, especially as the years passed. While millions were still minted, most were quickly scooped up by collectors and placed into albums, sets, or storage, not used in circulation. And herein lies the opportunity for rarity. When coins are minted for sets and never intended to circulate, any that remain in perfect or near-perfect condition, free of scratches, blemishes, or wear, become prime candidates for high grades from professional grading services like PCGS or NGC. The difference between an ordinary coin and a fortune can often come down to condition, strike quality, and the presence of unusual mint errors. Some 1973 Kennedy half-dollars display unique characteristics that make them especially rare and desirable. Examples include deep cameo-proof coins with mirror-like fields and frosted devices, coins with off-center strikes, and those with double dies where the images or letters appear slightly duplicated due to a striking error. Others are preserved in nearly flawless condition, earning a mint state 67, 68, or even 69 grading, which is extremely rare for coins of this era. These factors elevate the 1973 Kennedy half-dollar from a historical memento to a true numismatic treasure, and then there's the emotional weight that still clings to this coin. Even a decade after his passing, President Kennedy remained one of the most beloved figures in American politics. His image on the coin still evoked admiration and respect, and that connection continues to resonate with collectors today. Combine that emotional legacy with rarity, collector-only release, and the possibility of perfect preservation, and it's no wonder that this particular coin has commanded jaw-dropping prices. Imagine finding a 1973 Kennedy half-dollar tucked away in an old mint set, stored untouched for decades, only to discover that it's a flawless specimen with all the characteristics of a rare, investment-grade coin. That's not just luck, it's the dream of every collector. And in at least one extraordinary case, that dream came true when a perfectly preserved 1973 Kennedy half-dollar with exceptional attributes sold for an eye-watering $135,000. Top 3. It's amazing how something so small, just a coin that most people wouldn't even glance at, can hold within it a story of value, mystery, and incredible fortune. One such coin is the 1983 Kennedy half-dollar. At first glance, it might look like an ordinary piece of change. It's not silver, not from a particularly early minting year, and not widely recognized as a rare collectible by casual coin users. But if you've got a good eye, a bit of knowledge, and a little luck, this specific coin could be the key to unlocking a staggering fortune. So if you've got a jar of old coins sitting in your attic, pay close attention, because the 1983 Kennedy half-dollar might be worth far more than you ever imagined. Let's rewind the clock for a moment to understand the context of the coin. The Kennedy half-dollar was first minted in 1964, just months after the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. Americans were mourning, and this coin became an instant symbol of remembrance, unity, and honor. It wasn't just currency, it was a tribute to a fallen leader. Over the years, millions of Kennedy half-dollars were minted, but the materials and methods changed. The original 1964 version was struck in 90% silver, but from 1971 onward, the mint stopped using silver in regular circulation half-dollars altogether. By 1983, the Kennedy half-dollar was being struck in a copper-nickel composition, making it seem like just another everyday coin, but hidden within that ordinary year are extraordinary variations that make the 1983 Kennedy half-dollar a highly sought-after treasure. The 1983 coins were only issued for circulation, there were no mint sets produced that year. This meant that all of the coins released into the public were struck for general use, and almost none were preserved in pristine, untouched condition. That makes high-grade examples incredibly rare. Most coins that circulated in 1983 show wear and tear from handling, meaning finding a coin in near-perfect condition is almost impossible. And this rarity of condition is exactly where things get exciting for collectors. Then there are the minting errors, those beautiful, rare mistakes that drive collectors wild. With the 1983 Kennedy half-dollar, some known errors include off-center strikes, die cracks, double dies, and coins struck on the wrong planchets. These anomalies, while rare, can increase the value of the coin dramatically. Add in the fact that many of these coins were handled heavily and not preserved, and you've got a perfect recipe for rarity. If a coin with a noticeable minting error is also in exceptional condition, it becomes a numismatic jackpot. But condition and errors aren't the only things that matter, provenance and certification also play a huge role. Coins that have been professionally graded and certified by respected grading companies like PCGS or NGC often command much higher prices in the collector market. A 1983 Kennedy half-dollar that has received a high mint state grade, especially MS67 or higher, is considered a rare gem. Combine that with a unique error or an especially bold strike, and collectors will line up with checkbooks in hand. That it's also important to consider how demand continues to grow. As more and more people enter the world of coin collecting, the supply of rare, high-grade coins doesn't increase, it shrinks. Every year that passes, there are fewer 1983 Kennedy half-dollars in top condition, and the price reflects that scarcity. Enthusiasts, investors, and historians all want a piece of this iconic series, and as competition increases, so does the market value. Imagine finding one of these in your collection. Maybe it's been sitting in a forgotten coin jar for decades, untouched and unnoticed. You send it in to be graded, and it comes back with a nearly perfect rating. Perhaps there's a subtle error that sets it apart from all the rest. Suddenly, this unassuming half-dollar is no longer pocket change. It's a treasure. And for one incredibly lucky collector, that treasure turned out to be worth an astonishing $95,000. Top 4. Every coin has a story, but some coins carry more than just history, they carry value, mystery, and the thrill of discovery. Imagine holding a coin that millions of people have seen, touched, and spent over the years, never knowing it could be worth a small fortune. That's the incredible case of the 1992 Kennedy half-dollar, a coin that continues to surprise collectors and experts alike. At first glance, it may seem like an ordinary half-dollar, a piece of metal that's passed through countless hands since it was minted. But hidden within that simple design could be a hidden gem, a rare variety or flaw that transforms a 50-cent coin into a treasure worth tens of thousands of dollars. The Kennedy half-dollar series began in 1964, created as a tribute to President John F. Kennedy just months after his tragic assassination. Since then, it has remained a staple of American coinage. Over the decades, the design has stayed largely the same. The obverse features a striking portrait of Kennedy, full of dignity and strength, while the reverse showcases the presidential seal. But even within such a long-running and consistent series, certain years stand out. One of those years is 1992, a year that marked a quiet but significant shift in production and gave birth to an extremely valuable collector's item. In 1992, the United States Mint introduced a special silver-proof version of the Kennedy half-dollar for collectors. These coins were made with 90% silver and struck with precision and care, resulting in mirror-like surfaces and incredible detail. But what makes some 1992 Kennedy half-dollars so astonishingly valuable isn't just their beauty, it's the fact that a tiny number of these silver proofs were mistakenly struck using regular circulation dies, or in some rare cases, they were struck on the wrong planchets entirely. These errors are nearly impossible to detect unless you're looking closely, or unless you know exactly what you're looking for. Even beyond error coins, condition plays a massive role in the value of any coin. Most coins that end up in circulation accumulate wear and scratches over time, making them common and relatively worthless to collectors. But when a coin is preserved in near-perfect condition, graded as mint state 67, 68, or even 69, it becomes something much more. It becomes a rarity. A coin from 1992 that has survived the decades without a single blemish, with strong luster and sharp details, is a true find. Now imagine combining that pristine condition with a rare error or variant. That's when the value of a coin skyrockets. Certification from a reputable grading service is another critical factor. A coin that has been authenticated and graded by PCGS or NGC carries far more weight in the collector's market. It tells potential buyers, this is the real deal. And when collectors see a verified 1992 Kennedy half-dollar in extraordinary condition, or with an unusual variety, they're willing to pay top dollar to add it to their collection. There's also the emotional element. Collectors are drawn to the Kennedy half-dollar not only for its numismatic value but also for its symbolism. It's a coin that carries the spirit of an era, a tribute to one of the most beloved figures in American history. Every collector who owns one feels connected to that legacy. And when a specific year like 1992 gains attention for its rarity and potential value, it becomes more than a piece of metal. It becomes a part of American treasure. So if you've got an old half-dollar from 1992 tucked away in a drawer, it might be time to give it another look. Examine it carefully for unusual features. Check the weight, the details, the mint mark, and the surface. Because if you happen to hold one of those exceptionally rare and well-preserved pieces, you might be holding a coin worth more than you ever imagined. And for one lucky collector, that very coin, an unassuming Kennedy half-dollar from 1992, was valued at an incredible $65,000. Top 5. In the vast world of American coinage, few pieces command attention quite like the Kennedy half-dollar. These coins are more than just money, they are miniature memorials, crafted in tribute to one of the most iconic presidents in United States history. While most people are familiar with the Kennedy half-dollar that began in 1964, fewer realize that some of the more recent issues, such as those from the late 1990s, can be among the most valuable. One specific year that has quietly risen in interest and value among collectors is 1998. The 1998 Kennedy half-dollar might not seem special at first glance, but hidden among the millions minted are rare variations and pristine specimens that have stunned the numismatic world. What makes the 1998 Kennedy half-dollar so fascinating is the perfect storm of scarcity, condition, and subtle minting details. During this year, the U.S. Mint produced regular business strike coins, as well as specially crafted proof and matte finish coins. It's the latter, those matte finish coins, that have caused collectors to take notice. These were not released for circulation. In fact, they were only issued as part of a special commemorative set honoring Robert F. Kennedy, and even then, in limited numbers. Unlike the usual glossy proof finish, the matte version has a smooth, satin-like appearance, giving it a unique and distinguished look that sets it apart from the millions of regular issues. But what really pushes the value of a 1998 Kennedy half-dollar into extraordinary territory is a combination of factors: a matte finish coin in near-perfect condition, an extremely low mintage, and the added prestige of being part of a commemorative release. On top of that, some collectors have discovered rare minting anomalies and die varieties in 1998 half-dollars, subtle differences in lettering, spacing, or design that can elevate a coin's value even further. For seasoned collectors, spotting these details is like finding hidden treasure. For the average person, they often go unnoticed, until someone points them out and suddenly a 50-cent piece becomes a prized collectible. Another layer to this story is the importance of professional grading. When a 1998 Kennedy half-dollar is submitted to top-tier grading companies like PCGS or NGC and comes back with a high grade, let's say mint state 68 or 69, that coin is instantly vaulted into an elite category. Fewer coins reach such high grades because it means the coin has survived without blemishes, scratches, or any signs of wear. For collectors who chase perfection, such coins are worth paying a premium for, especially when combined with a low mintage and special finish like the matte 1998 issue. There's also a nostalgic element to the Kennedy half-dollar. For many, it's a coin that evokes a deep sense of history and American pride. It carries the face of a president whose legacy has endured through decades, whose vision for the future still resonates with millions. Owning a rare and valuable version of this coin feels like owning a piece of that enduring legacy. And when a specific year like 1998 is tied to both historical significance and numismatic rarity, the emotional and monetary value both increase dramatically. So, if you've come across a 1998 Kennedy half-dollar, whether it's part of a special set, a coin in a dusty drawer, or one inherited from a family collection, it might be worth much more than you think. Examine it closely. Look for that distinct matte finish, the sharp details of a well-preserved strike, and consider getting it graded if it seems flawless. You never know, you could be holding a coin that collectors are desperately searching for, and for one exceptionally rare and pristine 1998 Kennedy half-dollar, complete with the desirable matte finish and preserved in remarkable condition, a collector once paid an astonishing $45,000.